Welcome back, guys, to the Down East Beast Auto Design YouTube channel. So in this episode, I have kind of mastered a few more video editing techniques so I can show you a lot more in a lot briefer of a time. You'll actually see what comes together in this video, and you'll see it go into application. I'll talk a little bit about kind of the benefits that I gained from this. So as this design has evolved, and this was started as a part of the heavy-duty supercar design, and I came to realize that my frame was not offering sufficient strength, nor was it giving me sufficient room to place things, because I had kind of designed the car to have a belly pan that was the basis of the chassis, and that did not work out great. So what I decided to do, because I've been watching a lot of videos regarding carbon fabrication, I was confident enough, you know what, I can design a carbon tub. I have friends who work in the gel coating business. One of my best friends is lead gel coat repair tech at a company that makes fantastic yachts, and I mean lots of people pay big money to have one of these yachts. They go for, I think, starting at $500,000 a piece. So he's got a lot of composites experience in his boat building career, and he has agreed to help me to mold this carbon tub, which we are going to use an infusion molding technique to create. We are going to do a combination composite where we're going to have several different layers of different materials organized in a couple of different ways. We're going to have a steel lattice frame. We're basically going to tack together a frame of steel slats that are going to be kind of like the backbone of this. We are going to do a carbon fiber core. We're going to try and do the carbon fiber core in 3 sheets with minimal relief cuts. We're going to do that as efficiently as possible, with as much strength as possible. And then from there, we are going to lay a foam core layer. The foam core layer is going to basically just provide spacing in the final product. But the foam core layer, we're going to have a thin foam core on either side of the primary layer over the lattice structure. So that's actually going to give us 3 layers of a composite with 2 layers of foam core, as opposed to a lot of the supercar companies, a lot of bespoke car manufacturers that use carbon fiber tubs. What they will do is they have pre-bonded carbon weave on their foam core, and they basically just lay a bunch of pieces of this foam core carbon fiber setup into their mold, and once all the pieces are laid in place, you start the infusion molding process, where basically what is done is the whole thing is subjected to a very high vacuum. It's vacuum sealed, and that vacuum seal causes the resin, the hard resin that actually gives it its form at the end, to suck into the molded object. So what you get is you get one solid piece, one solid structure. And by using the foam core on both sides with the carbon fiber in the center, I'm giving myself a lot of added rigidity, a lot of extra strength that is probably excessive, but I want my passenger compartment as strong as possible. And I want to build my forward crumple zone, both strong, but also to break the way that I plan on it breaking if it's ever to break. Because the big thing about a crumple zone is you don't want to not know how something could break. Because if I set a cross member in the wrong place, it's not strongly connected in every direction the way it needs to be, and suddenly me or one of my passengers or somebody who purchases one of these cars winds up with, a frame spar through their chest. So we want to avoid that at all costs. And we also want to avoid broken bones, broken legs, broken arms. So that's why I have decided for this build that I needed a scaled person. I have found, even as an average semi-tall guy, that sometimes a vehicle is too small for me when I get into it. I set this guy up 6'2" and placed him seated in a seat that is custom tailored to be an appropriate seat size for him to be comfortable. We're actually going to redesign that seat later. It's kind of just the same one that I've been using since I started modeling in this app. My skills have improved drastically since then, so I think I can probably design something a little bit more reasonable for that. And this is kind of where you start to see more accurately everything coming together as it's going to be in the car. You've got the dash in now. We've got passenger and driver in. And this is allowing me to get an idea for a more appropriate seat position, a more appropriate steering wheel position, more appropriate dash size. So this is kind of where I've been running into a roadblock on the HD supercar build, and this is why I decided to do this as my next video, because I had really kind of stalled when I ran into this realization that I wasn't going to have enough room to do all of the things I wanted to do the way I wanted to do them. But then it occurred to me that I hadn't really set the scale. I hadn't really defined how much of that room was free. So by designing the carbon tub, I am taking a lot of the thought and difficulty out of the passenger cabin. And I'm also allowing myself the opportunity to build a much more crash-conscious frame. And of course, this tub is going to need to be kind of polished a little bit. So that at this point, I actually I imported the entire file for the HD supercar, and you see me just deleting parts. And I'm just going through and deleting anything that I don't want to have to move around to get an idea how this interior fits in the HD supercar without going into the main HD supercar file and risk messing that up for nothing. So we got the HD supercar pulled in. You see I took all of the most of the mechanical components out of it. I missed a few, which I actually find out later, but this is going to allow me to, select just the exterior parts. And you see me doing that right now. And now I'm kind of moving it over it and getting figured out what that's going to look like, how that's going to fit. So this is really changing the game and giving me a much better idea of what room I have in the HD supercar. Move my interior pieces back into place. A couple of things that got moved along the way. Just getting the trim in place so I can get a better visual, get an idea what's going on here with the HD supercar and how the world fits around it. Yeah, so got to be honest, I actually lost track of where some of these trim pieces go and how they fit together because of the way that they're just kind of abstract shapes in there to fill in. This app is great, but one feature that I don't really like about it is if you have a plane, it is transparent from one side. So if you create a cube, start every object with a cube. If you have very thin objects, like I went very thin, it's actually only 1/4 of an inch thick on the carbon tub is what I'm planning for. The foam core is going to shrink down a lot under the vacuum packing process, and the carbon layers are not going to be very thick, as we are trying to do just very solid lays. We don't want to have a lot of lays. We don't want to have a lot of sheets. We definitely don't want to have a lot of cuts because we want to have just real pretty, beautiful carbon fiber. I'm actually planning on using a carbon Kevlar weave. The carbon Kevlar is a little bit more expensive, but it does give some added flair to it. You can actually see the Kevlar in the carbon weave. It's got that same herringbone weave pattern. And I think that I'm going to go with red carbon Kevlar, so you'll see the red Kevlar strips throughout it in the same herringbone weave as the carbon fiber. It's a very pretty material, very high tech, very strong, very lightweight, and I'm not 100% sure. We're going to do some testing. I think that this carbon tub, and potentially, if I decide to go so far, the carbon Kevlar body panels, which if I do that, those will also be the same red Kevlar weave. It is, one, going to be gorgeous, but two, I'm wondering if it might turn out bulletproof. Because of the force dispersion that the Kevlar will allow. So very interested to get some samples made up and start testing this composite that we basically designed for this build. This is going to be, to my knowledge, the first 3-layer foam core carbon tub for a vehicle. And it's going to be a 496 cubic inch V8 mid-rear engine supercar that can tow as much as a 3/4 ton. So very excited for this build. Running out of time here. I do want to say thank you so much if you watched through this video. Every watch helps, every like, share, subscribe helps our channel grow and build this car.